Let me introduce him properly. Chris Cox is over the Bikers for Trump organization, which is the fastest growing demographic for the campaign. At the Republican convention, their members stood toe-to-toe with law enforcement to help keep chaos from happening at the convention. Their members have a strict code of no violence. And there was no violence in Cleveland, if you remember. They were predicting a lot of problems. There were no problems. And then he also has introduced a bill to Congress called the Monument Protection Act. If we have time, we're going to get into that. But we definitely want to know more about Bikers for Trump organization. Chris, are you on the line?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me today. And hello, everybody.
It's a pleasure to have you. And I really didn't know that there was actually a Bikers for Trump organization until your dad informed us. And so it's good to know that. Tell us a little bit about it and how they work and how you accomplish various things with them.
Well, Bikers for Trump, we've got about 160,000 members right now. We're growing by 4,000 to 5,000 a week still, even after the campaign. So we've got a lot of traction. And I guess our crowning achievement would be that we could go into an area with very little notice and we could have a presidential-style rally and draw thousands of people to it. Our last rally was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and Rudy Giuliani was actually our speaker. So if that suggests how much traction we had, the fact that the campaign would send their number one surrogate speaker to us, couldn't have been more thrilled about that.
Well, I understand that at the convention in Cleveland, you had one of the Fox commentators riding around with you, Judge Jeanine.
Yes, sir. We couldn't have been more excited about having Judge Jeanine come on board, and she's been a big help for us and helped us gain a lot of traction thereafter. That she actually got on the motorcycle with us, and we patrolled around Cleveland for several hours with her. And as you mentioned earlier, we stood toe-to-toe against Black Lives Matters, and we stood shoulder-to-shoulder with law enforcement. As you might remember, the Black Panthers were openly talking about showing up and bringing shotguns because of the open carry permits that were available in the state of Ohio. But unfortunately, we didn't have any problems there, and a lot of people think it's as a result of the thousands of bikers who came up there. And if you might not know, but the veteran is the backbone of the biker community, and it has been for a long time, since even before Vietnam. When they got out of the wars, they weren't always treated so well, and they found camaraderie and brotherhood in motorcycle clubs, and that's why they're so patriotic today. You've got a biker cause for about every good cause under the sun. You've got bikers against jihad. You've got bikers against child abuse, bikers against domestic violence. There's a biker cause for just about every good thing out there. And so to answer your question, yes, sir, we had Judge Jeanine with us. And not only Judge Jeanine, but several days later, Brooke Baldwin from CNN, she asked if she could ride around with us. And that may have been criticized a little bit as far as allowing them to come, but it was important that we reached out to that left media as well, because that's where a lot of the undecided voters were. And even though we were set up, and I never actually took the bait, but we got some pretty fair balance. That was one of the few times we got some fair coverage there from that left side. But they gave us a raving review. Even the New York Times did a documentary on us. I allowed one of their journalists to follow us for 4 days, and they did a video documentary, and they couldn't have spoken more highly of us. And that went to show the strength of the Biker for Trump movement, because we don't condone violence. They often try to compare us to some of the organizations, maybe I mentioned it earlier, that would like to cause chaos and mayhem. But you've never seen a Biker for Trump burning a pharmacy or looting a pharmacy. You'll never see one calling for the destruction of private property. You'll never see a Biker for Trump calling for the death of police officers. And so our message really resonated around the country. And as you mentioned earlier, we were the fastest growing demographic in the presidential campaign cycle. And we did a lot of that on the social media platform of Facebook. And that's how we got our message out. And it's just been quite a heck of an adventure. You know, Hollywood has painted this picture of the renegade biker outlaw, and it just couldn't be further from the truth. Bikers are from all walks of life. They're not only blue collar, but they're white collar. In many instances, bikers have reached the top of their field. For instance, Franklin Graham is a biker. He has a bike ride from North Carolina to Alaska every year to raise money for charities. Kyle Petty, he is a biker, and he raises a lot of money for charities. Jay Leno is a biker, and I'm not suggesting I know their political orientation, but it just goes to show that the face of the biker has changed a lot since the 60s, and they're very patriotic, and they vote, and we are a force to be dealt with right now at 6 to 8 million strong. We've got a lot of respect now in the Washington, D.C. community.
What will riders or bikers for Trump do now that he is president-elect and soon to be President Trump?
Well, there's certainly many directions we could take this. We could actually have, with our numbers, we could easily have a lobbying presence in Washington, D.C. We may continue to grow bikers for Trump. We're still getting 3,000 to 5,000 members a week. So right now, there's really no reason to shut it down. And so what direction Bikers for Trump goes remains to be seen. Right now, we're excited about the inauguration coming up, and we're going to have bikers participating in a parade there, the inauguration parade, and we're going to have a presence there. And, we've been able to shift our focus. Law enforcement has learned from a lot of the mistakes they made, for instance, in Arizona and Chicago, and they've really beefed up their ranks, and they have a lot of security in place. So we're actually able to sit back now and just kind of enjoy what's happening. And, Bikers for Trump, we were there as a calming factor. Never have we ever seen ourselves as vigilantes or anyone that was going to take the law into our own hands. We were just there to show support for law enforcement and for democracy and to help protect the liberties that a lot of men and women have died for in past generations.
Amen. That's a good work.
Yep, that's right.
Well, we're about out of time, but I want to ask you one other question. Not only Bikers for Trump, but you also are interested in the Monument Protection Act. What is that?
Well, yes, sir. If you remember, during the government shutdown in 2013, they shut down all the open-air war memorials. And that was really just a polarizing byfactor of the shutdown. If we go back to 1995 under Bill Clinton and Newt Gingrich, the government shut down, but they didn't shut down all the national parks and the World War II war memorials and the Vietnam walls and so forth. So with the help of Congressman Darrell Issa, we developed a bill called the Monuments Protection Act, H.R. 1836. And just real quick in a nutshell, the language reads that the Secretary of Interior and the Secretary of Agriculture will enter into agreement with state and local governments to provide for the continued operation of an open-air war memorial, public lands, or parks during a lapse of appropriations or for any other reason. And this will prevent any politician or administration from using an open-air war memorial for political posturing, retaliation, gain, or even hostage, Doctor. And if you remember during that government shutdown, you might remember the pictures of veterans showing up in wheelchairs and with respirators and trying to remove barricades so that they can get into these memorials to show respect for their fallen hero comrades and brothers. And it really was just unnecessary. And so the bill's designed to just try to minimize the collateral damage during a government shutdown that might fall on the shoulders of veterans.
Good.
Well, that's a great cause. Is that passed now, or is it still in Congress?
No, sir. It's still in Congress. It's in the Agricultural Department right now. Since it's come out, I've signed up an additional 14 co-sponsors. The entire South Carolina delegation, with the exception of Clyburn. Just recently, Pittenger came on. I met with Congressman Deschales from Tennessee yesterday, along with Congressman Marino and Barletta from Pennsylvania. And so as I moved forward during Bikers for Trump, I would invite congressional members that came out for Donald Trump to speak on at our Biker for Trump rallies. And so I was really trying to take down two birds with one stone, I guess, so to speak. And, that's how Bikers for Trump was born, out of my frustration socializing H.R. 1836 in the halls of Congress. And over 200 offices I went to, a lot of the Democrats, when they heard it was Congressman Darrell Issa behind the framework, even though we had a bipartisan bill there with a co-sponsor, Eleanor Holmes Norton, the wall would go up. And so I saw firsthand how the establishment panders to the herd, and the herd holds those party lines. And then lo and behold, here comes Donald Trump outside of the establishment. And I decided I would have a better chance bringing attention to H.R. 1836 by maybe distinguishing myself in the campaign. And with a lot of luck and the help of some really smart people, we were able to distinguish ourselves. And now we're bringing all those congressional members that are on the Trump train over to H.R. 1836. And our goal isn't only just to pass H.R. 1836, the Monuments Protection Act, but we'd like to pass it with the most co-sponsors in the history of the House of Representatives. And that would go a long way in saying sorry to all the veterans that it adversely affected during the government shutdown.
Wow. Okay, well, we'll be praying for that, and if any of our viewers want to contact their congressman and show their support, be free to do that, and that's part of democracy, is when we're all heard. Well, thank you, Chris.
Yes,
it's so good to have you on today, and say hello to your father for us. He's a great friend, and I'm sure, and I hope we'll meet again. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow.